Our body is betraying us, for the counsel of the home looks with suspicion upon us. It is not good to feel too much joy, nor to be glad that our body lives. For we matter not, and it must not matter to us whether we live or die, which is to be as our brothers will it. But we, Equality 72521, are glad to be living. If this is a vice, then we wish no virtue. Yet our brothers are not like us. All is not well with our brothers. There are Fraternity 25503, a quiet boy with wise, kind eyes, who cries suddenly, without reason, and in the midst of the day or night, and their body shakes with sobs so they cannot explain. There are Solidarity 96347, who are bright youth, without fear in the day, but they scream in their sleep, and they scream, "Help us, help us, help us," into the night, in a voice which chills our bones, but the doctors cannot cure Solidarity 96347. And as we all undress at night in the dim light of candles, our brothers are silent, for they dare not speak the thoughts of their minds. For all must agree with all, and they cannot know if their thoughts are the thoughts of all, so they fear to speak. And they are glad when the candles are blown for the night, and we, Equality 72521, look through the window upon the sky, and there is peace in the sky, and cleanliness and dignity. And beyond the city there lies the plain, and beyond the plain, black, upon the black sky, there lies the uncharted forest. We do not wish to look upon the uncharted forests. We do not wish to think of it, but ever do our eyes return to that black patch upon the sky. Men never enter the uncharted forests, for there is no power to explore it and no path to lead among its ancient trees, which stands as guards of fearful secrets. It is whispered that once or twice in 100 years, one among the men of the city escape alone and run into the uncharted forests, without call or reason. These men do not return. They perish from hunger and from the claws of the wild beasts that roam the forests. But our councils say this is only a legend. We have heard that there are many uncharted forests over the lands among the cities. And it is whispered that they have grown over the ruins of many cities of the unmentionable times. The trees have swallowed the ruins, and the bones under the ruins, and all the things which perished. And as we look upon the uncharted forest far in the night, we think of the secrets of the unmentionable times, and we wonder how it came to pass that these secrets were lost to the world. We have heard the legends of the great fighting, in which many men fought on one side and only a few on the other. These few were the evil ones, and they were conquered. Then great fires raged over the land, and in these fires the evil ones were burned. And the fire which is called the dawn of the great rebirth was the script fire, where all the scripts of the evil ones were burned, and with them all the words of the evil ones. Great mountains of flame stood in the squares of the city for 3 months. Then came the great rebirth. The words of the evil ones, the words of the unmentionable times. What are the words which we have lost? May the council have mercy upon us. We had no wish to write such a question, and we knew not what we were doing till we had written it. We shall not ask this question, and we shall not think it. We shall not call death upon our head. And yet, there is some word, one single word, which is not in the language of men, but which has been. And this is the unspeakable word, which no men may speak nor hear. But sometimes, and it is rare, sometimes, somewhere, one among men find that word. They find it upon scraps of old manuscripts or cut into the fragments of ancient stones. But when they speak it, they are put to death. There is no crime punished by death in this world, save this one, crime of speaking the unspeakable word. We have seen one of such men burned alive in the square of the city, and it was a sight which has stayed with us through the years, and it haunts us and follows us and it gives us no rest. We were a child then, 10 years old, and we stood in the great square with all the children and all the men of the city sent to behold the burning. They brought the transgressor out into the square and led him into the pyre. They had torn out the tongue of the transgressor so that they could speak no longer. The transgressor were young and tall. They had hair of gold and eyes of blue as morning. They walked to the pyre, and their step did not falter. And of all the faces in that square, of all the faces which shrieked and screamed and spat curses upon them, theirs was the calmest and happiest face. As the chains were wound over their body at the stake, and a flame set to the pyre, the transgressor looked upon the city. There was a thin thread of blood running from the corner of their mouth, but their lips were smiling. And a monstrous thought came to us then, which has never left us. We had heard of saints. There are the saints of labor, the saints of the councils, the saints of the great rebirth, but we had never seen a saint, nor what the likeness of a saint should be. And we thought then, standing in the square, that the likeness of a saint was the face we saw before us in the flames, the face of the transgressor of the unspeakable word. As the flames rose, a thing happened which no eyes saw but ours, else we would not be living today. Perhaps it had only seemed to us, but it seemed to us that the eyes of the transgressor had chosen us from the crowd and were looking straight upon us. There was no pain in their eyes, and no knowledge of the agony of their body. There was only joy in them, and pride, a pride holier than it is fit for human pride to be. And it seemed as if these eyes were trying to tell us something through the flames, to send into our eyes some word without sound. And it seemed as if these eyes were begging us to gather that word and not let it go from us and from the earth. But the flames rose, and we could not guess the word. What, even if we had to burn for it like the saint of the pyre, what is the unspeakable word? End of chapter 2. Chapter 2.